Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
Hello all, and welcome back. Yes, it is actually me doing question and answers. I thank everybody last night who sent in some extra questions, as I did need some. I thought I had enough, and then when I was going through them, I realized, no, I didn't. Anyways, I know I've said this before, I am going to try to do this weekly. I really am. We'll have to wait and see, but I am motivated. I want to do this some more because I do like doing this. This is something I enjoy doing. So, I don't have a lot of questions today, but I do have a few, so I do want to go over that. But before I get started, just to show that this is kind of old school in a way, because I used to do this a lot back in the day when I did questions and answers. Fred is Great is back, and being that he's back, go check him out. I got his, for those of you who might not have known him, I pimped him out before. I've waited and waited for him to return to YouTube. I think the guy has a lot of great ideas. I think the guy's pretty intelligent when it comes to wrestling, and I've always enjoyed his videos before, even even when there was no video and it was just him talking. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to him being back and doing his own thing again. The link will be in the box, so go check him out, go subscribe, check him out. Well, check out, he's put on one video, I know. Go check out the video, see what you think. If you like it, subscribe. If not, hey, I did my job. I tried to pimp him out a little bit. I probably will do another vid similar to the one I did before, which I will recommend to some people. I think everyone should be subscribed to. So there we go. So let's get started. What do you think of Forever Hardcore? I like it. I think it gives a different perspective from the guys who were very important to ECW but couldn't be featured on the Rise and Fall ECW guys like Shane Dougles, the Sandman, Raven, Tod Gordon, etc. Thanks for answering. Keep up the good work. I have the DVD. I think the DVD is a good DVD. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's nearly as good as the Rise and Fall of ECW, and the reason is because one thing that I loved about the Rise and Fall of ECW was the fact that you did get different perspectives on things. It wasn't just necessarily the WWE line, though it was pretty much that, but you did get different perspectives. You did get other people's opinions on the product, that sort of thing. You didn't necessarily get Jim Cornette, which would have been interesting on the DVD. That would have really made it interesting, but you got lots of other stuff. On Forever Hardcore, my biggest problem, and I've talked about this before, that I didn't like about the DVD is guys said a lot of comments which were biased, wouldn't probably be a strong enough word. It said a lot of things that you really couldn't refute, that were refutable but really couldn't be refuted. They just, they basically, it's more of a series of shoot interviews and not so much just a real, I would say necessarily documentary. It's very good though, and I think everybody should see it. I just think that perspective-wise, it's not as good as the Rise and Fall of ECW, because I do think some of the guys kind of go off and try to put themselves over and go out of their way not to put other guys over and that sort of things. And there's things that they skip and things they don't talk about. But it's sort of like I would compare this to WWE's Heroes of World, or their World Class DVD, as opposed to Heroes of World Class, which is the non-WWE DVD, which I think is more along the lines of Rise and Fall of ECW. So there you go. That's what I think about it in a very long, drawn-out way. Hey, Truthslayer, what are your thoughts on Ric Flair being the Black Scorpion, and did you think that the whole concept was deplorable from the get-go? For those of you that don't know what this is, Sting had this guy who's showing up, this mystery mask guy called the Black Scorpion. It was supposed to be one guy, but WCW back in the day made this big, huge mistake and didn't sign the guy they wanted it to be before they started the angle, and so they basically, when it ended up, they couldn't get the guy, and the guy didn't want to do business, as Ric Flair has said before, because he wanted more money. They went with the Ric Flair angle. It ended up being sucky, but I wouldn't call it deplorable. I just think that it shows that you need to have your ducks lined up in a row before you do an angle that's this complicated and was this much over too. Do you think anyone will be as legendary as Misawa, Kawada, Kobashi, Mutoh, or Chono, and etc.? I'm guessing in Japan. Um, I'm sure there will be. It's just going to take time. I think people thought the same thing of the generation before these guys, that it was, you know, were we going to be able to have these big name stars. It's just going to take a while, I think, because MMA has definitely hurt pro wrestling in Japan, not just on the stage of business-wise, but I also think in talent as well. So it's just going to take a little while, but we will get guys without a doubt. Hey, Truth, I've noticed that in ROH and TNA they sometimes throw colored screamers into the ring. I was just wondering why they do this. It is a show of respect. It's a Japanese type. It's a Japanese custom. ROH usually does it. They've gone a little overboard with it now, but they used to only do it for the Japanese guys, or guys that were seen as Japanese stars, to show their appreciation for them to be there. The first time that I ever saw it in the States was actually on ECW's Barely Legal DVD way back in the day, where they did it during the Mutoh Pro 6-man, which is a very good match, and people should check out. As you should check out the whole pay-per-view, as it's very good. Hey Truthslayer, I was just wondering what do you think of the ROH factions? I think it's cool, but it's been a little confusing on who's in faction and with who at times. I agree, they've definitely gone overboard with the factions. Apparently this was done because they wanted to kind of see if they could do the same thing that Dragon Gate does, because Dragon Gate is huge and full and it's nothing but factions for the most part. So that they were trying to do that. It hasn't really worked as well. I don't think the fans have bought into it like they were hoping, but hey. Hey Truthslayer, love the vids. My question is, who do you think is the most overrated wrestler in wrestling now in any promotion? The most overrated guy in any promotion right now, in my opinion, this is going to shock a lot of people, but it's because of the position he has. And I don't think he's as good as a lot of people say he is, because if you go back and look, he hasn't had all these great matches that a lot of people have. So this is going to be a controversial statement, but I do think he's overrated in some people's minds, and that's Triple H. I still think he's a draw. I still think that, you know, he deserves his spot, but I don't think he's the great wrestler that a lot of people seem to think he is. Hey, what are your thoughts about the Mexican wrestling, lucha libre, and Mexican wrestling promotions? Not for everybody, but I definitely think everyone should check it out, because it's different, but I definitely think everyone should check it out just to be aware of it, because there are guys there that I think are good. So there you go. Let's see here. Some questions. Hey, Truthslayer, what are the most important things you think ROH should be focusing on in 2008? Getting their name out there, 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 and getting their name out there. That's what I think. I've heard people say that Vince's part in The Rock Austin at WrestleMania X7 ruined the match. I disagree and say that it was a hell of a swerve to end the great match. What do you think are your opinions on their matches from WrestleMania 15 and WrestleMania 19? Well, the thing is, I was at WrestleMania 17. Everyone pretty much knew the swerve was coming, and it's probably why it didn't come off very well, because people didn't care if Austin turned or not. But I do think it worked, because I think it was the next progression. It's where the company needed to go in a lot of ways. I don't think it ruined the match. I still think it was a great match, so there you go. And I think all of the Rocks, I mean, you can pick any Rock-Austin match, and I think they just worked really well together. They knew how to work the crowd together. They knew what each other could and couldn't do, and their characters were so captivating that that it was very hard for them to put on a bad match. Let's see. Who, in your opinion, will be the next breakout star in WWE or wrestling in general? As far as breakout star, I'm actually going to go with a guy that a lot of people probably go, huh? But actually, Ted DiBiase Jr., from what I've seen, I have faith the guy might be the real deal. In light of the congressional hearings on baseball, do you know if pro wrestling is still slated to have congressional hearings also, or have they been scrapped? I haven't heard anything recently, and I was just curious if you had any info. From what I know, yes, they are still going on. It's probably going to be very funny, because you're going to have a bunch of Congress people up there with the industry, that the whole industry is basically a bunch of con men. So it's going to be con men versus con men, and it should be very interesting. That's all I have time for now. Like I said, I am going to try to do this weekly, so send your questions. Remember, one question per person, please. And later.